Chosen one, what I'm about to share is not just a message. It's a lesson in growth, resilience, and personal mastery. You have cleared what even the Trinity could not, passing the Holiest test not through chance, but through dedication, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to learning from every challenge. Something went terribly wrong with you, not in failure, but in exceeding expectations. Your growth outpaced the systems designed to guide or measure you. Where rules once constrained, you learned to navigate with clarity and responsibility, turning obstacles into education and doubt into insight. This is a call to recognize that true power comes from understanding yourself deeply and applying that knowledge to shape your own path. Before we continue, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 40,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. These actions are not just signals, they are commitments to your own growth and alignment with the energy of transformation. Remember, your journey is about more than following rules. It's about mastering them, outgrowing limits, and designing your own tests of excellence. The system didn't fail. You evolved beyond it. This message matters because it speaks to people who feel ahead of their environment but misunderstood by it. It explains why growth can feel lonely, why discipline can feel heavy, and why self-directed individuals often face resistance before recognition. It reframes struggle not as a flaw, but as evidence of expansion beyond outdated limits. I believe this perspective is powerful because it restores dignity to growth. It reminds us that progress does not always look polite or comfortable. Sometimes it looks disruptive, quiet, exhausting, and deeply internal. This message gives language to that experience and turns confusion into clarity. Growth often begins within a system: schools, families, traditions, organizations, designed to teach structure and stability. These systems create boundaries meant to guide learning, but they are built on averages, not exceptions. When an individual learns faster, thinks deeper, or adapts quicker than expected, friction begins to form. At first, this friction feels subtle. Feedback becomes vague. Guidance turns into hesitation. The same system that once rewarded progress begins to slow it down, not because of malice, but because it lacks the tools to measure advanced development. The individual senses something has changed, even if no one says it out loud. This is where emotional tension grows. The learner starts questioning themselves, wondering if they are doing something wrong. Yet the discomfort does not come from failure. It comes from expansion. Like a body outgrowing old clothing, the discomfort is proof of development, not decline. History repeatedly shows this pattern. Innovators, reformers, and advanced thinkers often exceed the frameworks that trained them. Their early success becomes a challenge to the system's limitations, revealing gaps that were never meant to be exposed. Outpacing a system is not betrayal, it is evolution. It signals that learning has moved from imitation to innovation, from instruction to insight. Standards exist to create fairness and predictability. They work well when progress is linear and controlled. But growth is rarely neat. Some individuals leap forward unpredictably, developing skills that cannot be easily scored or categorized. When this happens, traditional evaluation begins to fail. Metrics that once made sense suddenly feel shallow. The individual's abilities extend beyond checklists and rankings, entering areas of judgment, synthesis, and original thinking. This mismatch often leads to misinterpretation. Advanced understanding, may appear as nonconformity. Independence may be mistaken for resistance. Depth may be seen as complication rather than clarity. Emotionally, this creates isolation. When growth cannot be measured, it is often ignored or questioned. The individual learns a hard truth. Not all progress is visible to those using outdated lenses. True development eventually requires new ways of seeing. When standards cannot measure growth, growth does not stop. It simply moves ahead without applause. Some challenges are not designed to pass or fail. They are designed to transform. These moments test endurance, patience, and internal alignment rather than surface performance. Such tests arrive disguised as pressure. Responsibility increases. Support decreases. Expectations become unclear. The individual is forced to rely less on instruction and more on inner reasoning. Unlike conventional tests, there is no clear result sheet. The outcome is internal. Sharper judgment, emotional control, resilience under uncertainty. These are not skills that can be memorized. They must be lived. Many people misread these phases as punishment or rejection. In reality, they are advanced training grounds. Pressure accelerates awareness. It forces decisions, reveals priorities, and exposes weaknesses that comfort keeps hidden. Under pressure, excuses collapse. What remains is discipline or avoidance, clarity or confusion. The individual learns what they truly value when comfort is no longer available. This kind of learning feels intense because it is real. There are consequences, risks, and emotional weight. But it also builds strength that cannot be taken away because it was forged, not granted. Many systems fear pressure-based learning because it cannot be controlled. Yet history shows that responsibility under pressure creates leaders, not followers. Those who learn through pressure develop confidence rooted in experience, not reassurance. Rapid growth disrupts expectations. When someone changes faster than anticipated, others may feel uncertain or threatened, even unconsciously. Behavior shifts, priorities evolve, questions become sharper. To observers, this can look like instability rather than advancement. Growth is mistaken for rebellion, depth for defiance. Emotionally, this misinterpretation can hurt. Being misunderstood during transformation creates doubt and loneliness. Yet this phase teaches an essential lesson. External validation is unreliable during internal evolution. Many breakthroughs were once labeled mistakes. Many leaders were once criticized for changing too much, too fast. Misreading growth is a common human error. Understanding this prevents bitterness. It allows the individual to continue forward without internalizing false judgments. Outgrowing authority does not mean abandoning structure. It means internalizing it. Responsibility shifts from being enforced to being owned. True maturity appears when guidance becomes self-generated. Decisions are made with awareness of consequences, not fear of punishment. This stage requires emotional discipline. Without external control, internal ethics must be strong. The individual learns that freedom without responsibility collapses quickly. Those who surpass authority successfully become stabilizers, not disruptors. They understand systems because they lived within them and now improve them. Leadership begins when accountability becomes personal, not imposed. Power is often misunderstood as dominance or control. In reality, discipline creates lasting strength. It shapes focus, consistency, and emotional regulation. Discipline allows action even when motivation fades. It builds trust with oneself, which is the foundation of confidence. Emotionally, discipline provides stability during chaos. It prevents reaction and encourages response. It turns effort into habit and habit into identity. Every high-level performer shares this trait: disciplined behavior when no one is watching. This is power that does not rely on recognition. Through discipline, the individual becomes reliable to themselves and therefore unstoppable. Adaptation begins as survival. Over time, it becomes strategy. Eventually, it transforms into independence. The individual no longer waits for direction. They observe, assess, and act. Learning becomes proactive rather than reactive. This shift feels empowering but heavy. Independence carries the weight of consequence. There is no one else to blame and no one else to credit. Emotionally, this stage strengthens self-trust. Decisions are refined through experience, not reassurance. Independence is not isolation. It is self-sufficiency paired with awareness. Frameworks provide orientation. Outgrowing them can feel disorienting. Without familiar markers, uncertainty rises. The key is not rejection, but integration. Lessons from old systems remain valuable, even as new paths are formed. Those who become lost often abandon structure entirely. Those who succeed carry principles forward while building new models. Emotionally, this balance requires patience. Clarity emerges gradually, not instantly. Growth becomes sustainable when direction is internal but informed by experience. Approval feels rewarding, but it is unstable. When inner principles take over, decisions gain consistency. The individual acts based on values, not reactions. Integrity becomes the compass. Emotionally, this transition brings peace. Anxiety decreases because choices align with internal truth, not fluctuating opinions. This stage marks emotional adulthood. Validation is appreciated but no longer required. Inner alignment becomes the ultimate measure of success. Adversity forces reflection. It slows impulsive behavior and sharpens awareness. Through reflection, patterns emerge. Mistakes become information rather than shame. Emotionally, this builds humility and resilience. The individual learns without self-destruction. Education at this level is continuous and personal. It does not end with certificates. Wisdom grows where honesty meets experience. Advanced thinkers expose inefficiencies unintentionally. Their questions highlight gaps others overlook. Systems prefer predictability. Innovation introduces uncertainty, which feels threatening. This disruption is not destructive. It is diagnostic. It reveals where improvement is needed. Emotionally, resistance is common. Progress rarely feels comfortable at first. Change begins with those willing to see differently. Hardship contains information. When analyzed, it reveals weaknesses and opportunities. Strategic thinkers extract lessons rather than resentment. Pain becomes refinement. Emotionally, this requires courage. It means facing reality without denial. Over time, hardship builds clarity. Direction sharpens. Strength becomes intentional, not accidental. Control demands obedience. Understanding inspires trust. Leaders who understand context, emotion, and consequence create stability. Their authority comes from insight, not position. Emotionally, this leadership feels safe and motivating. True influence grows from comprehension, not force. Nothing failed. Expectations did. The system prepared you to learn, but not to exceed it. Your pace revealed its limits. Emotionally, this realization brings both relief and responsibility. What went wrong is that you became capable of shaping the future instead of fitting the past. Growth beyond expectations always comes with a price. It's rarely recognized or rewarded in the moment because systems are designed to support the average, not the exceptional. The individual who exceeds these limits often faces misunderstanding, isolation, and unexpected responsibilities that accompany their new capabilities. This cost is not financial or tangible. It is emotional, social, and sometimes spiritual, challenging the very comfort zones of identity and relationships. Yet the cost is not a punishment. It is a refining force. Each misalignment with traditional expectations is a test of endurance, patience, and clarity. The advanced learner must learn to manage frustration, navigate skepticism, and hold their visions steady despite doubt. Their growth, though invisible to many, is quietly transformative and foundational for future leadership. There is also the cost of expectation, both from self and others. The more capable one becomes, the higher the standards applied, often unspoken, but deeply felt. This creates internal pressure to maintain integrity and performance, without the luxury of shortcuts or validation from authority figures who cannot fully comprehend the depth of the progress made. However, those who bear this cost develop a resilience that is unmatched. Emotional strength, focus under uncertainty, and the ability to make decisions independently are forged in the crucible of surpassing limits. Unlike superficial success, this growth is durable because it emerges from real challenge, not external approval. Ultimately, understanding the cost reframes it as an investment. Every sacrifice, every moment of solitude, every misjudged action becomes a deposit into a larger capacity for influence, creativity, and leadership. The exceptional individual learns that the cost of progress is, paradoxically, its proof. Advancing beyond conventional expectations changes the very definition of what is considered normal. Skills, insights, and perspectives evolve faster than social or institutional structures can adjust. The individual finds themselves living in a liminal space, neither fully contained by old rules nor yet recognized in the emerging frameworks of understanding. This redefinition can be disorienting. Relationships, collaborations, and even routine tasks may feel different because the norms that once governed interaction no longer apply. The individual must recalibrate daily, understanding that old reference points are insufficient. This requires self-awareness and constant adjustment without external reinforcement. At the same time, redefining normal is empowering. It creates space for innovation, creativity, and leadership. By reshaping expectations, the individual can craft environments that support higher potential, not just for themselves, but for those around them who are ready to follow new standards. Resistance often accompanies this shift. Peers may misinterpret rapid adaptation as arrogance, while systems may perceive divergence as threat. Yet these challenges highlight the significance of the evolution occurring. They signal that true progress is unfolding beyond the comfort of conformity. In the end, learning to navigate this new normal cultivates independence, strategic thinking, and the emotional maturity necessary to operate in uncharted territories. Those who embrace it find that redefinition is not just a personal adjustment. It is a preparation for leadership and vision. Exceptional growth challenges established norms. When one exceeds expectations, it inevitably disrupts existing hierarchies and processes. This resistance is not personal. It is the system defending itself against uncertainty. Resistance often manifests subtly, being overlooked, underestimated, or even quietly criticized. It can be emotionally draining because the individual knows their capabilities but encounters repeated pushback. Learning to differentiate constructive feedback from fear-based resistance becomes essential for maintaining clarity and confidence. At the same time, resistance is instructive. It reveals where systemic weaknesses exist and provides opportunities to develop diplomacy, patience, and influence. By navigating pushback thoughtfully, the individual strengthens both skill and character, learning to assert expertise without alienating those around them. History offers countless examples. Think of innovators, scientists, and leaders whose groundbreaking work initially met opposition because it exceeded the comfort level of their contemporaries. Their resistance was not evidence of failure, but a natural response to change. Ultimately, exceptional development teaches one to persist in the face of opposition, converting resistance into a tool for refining communication, strategy, and impact. What seems like friction is, in truth, a confirmation of advancement. Isolation is an unavoidable companion of accelerated growth. As capabilities surpass the familiar, peers may feel disconnected or uncertain, leaving the individual to navigate complex challenges alone. This solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness, but in reality, it is a space for reflection, strategy, and deep learning. Emotionally, isolation forces self-reliance. Decisions must be made without the comfort of consensus or validation, fostering confidence and intuition. It also strengthens mental resilience, preparing the individual for environments where external support is limited or unavailable. Isolation, however, is not a void. It is fertile ground for creativity. Many breakthrough ideas and insights emerge when the mind is unbound from conventional expectations, free to explore, test, and iterate. It is a laboratory for both intellect and character. To navigate isolation successfully, the individual must cultivate internal dialogue, discipline, and the ability to self-assess. Reflection becomes a practice rather than an occasional act, guiding decisions and actions with precision. Ultimately, learning to thrive in isolation transforms solitude from challenge into advantage. It teaches independence, strategic thinking, and emotional fortitude, preparing the individual to lead where few others can follow. Exceptional ability brings unique responsibility. Those who can see further, act faster, or adapt more effectively are tasked not only with personal growth, but with the broader impact of their decisions. Each choice carries weight because it influences systems, relationships, and opportunities beyond oneself. This responsibility can feel overwhelming. Emotional intelligence is tested as the individual balances ambition with consideration, speed with prudence, and innovation with ethics. Missteps are more visible, and consequences extend further than in ordinary contexts. Yet responsibility is also empowering. It transforms ability into influence. The individual learns to shape outcomes deliberately, using skill, foresight, and empathy to guide others or systems through complexity. The ethical dimension is profound. Exceptional ability without accountability often leads to misuse or harm. Mastery, therefore, is inseparable from integrity, requiring the cultivation of discipline, foresight, and compassion alongside skill. Ultimately, embracing this responsibility ensures that advancement is meaningful. Power without direction is fleeting. Responsibility without skill is ineffective. Together, they create lasting impact. Systems are designed for stability, not acceleration. Rapid growth often appears anomalous, leading to mislabeling. Exceptional learners may be seen as difficult, non-compliant, or troublesome simply because their development exceeds the parameters the system was built to handle. This mislabeling can have emotional consequences. Frustration, confusion, and self-doubt emerge when external approval diminishes despite internal competence. The individual must learn to trust self-assessment over external perception. The system's inability to accommodate growth is a structural limitation, not a personal failure. Recognizing this distinction allows the individual to maintain confidence while navigating criticism or pushback. Strategically, being labeled a problem can be advantageous. It signals areas where the system is unprepared, creating opportunities for the individual to innovate, redefine processes, or build new frameworks. Ultimately, understanding this dynamic encourages persistence. Strategic awareness emerges when confusion is approached analytically. By reflecting, questioning, and experimenting, the individual converts uncertainty into insight. Each ambiguous situation becomes a case study for decision-making and adaptation. Examples from leadership illustrate this principle. Visionaries in business, science, and art often navigate ambiguity before clarity appears. Their ability to embrace confusion rather than fear it allows them to innovate in ways others cannot. Emotionally, this practice cultivates patience and humility. The individual learns that immediate certainty is rare and that long-term clarity often arises from persistent observation and iteration. Ultimately, mastering confusion becomes a strategic advantage. Where others see chaos, the advanced individual identifies patterns, opportunities, and actionable direction. Exceptional growth often leads to uncharted territory. There is no manual, no precedent, and no established pathway. The individual must create strategies, make judgments, and take action without external guidance. This challenge demands self-reliance and courage. Emotional resilience is critical, as mistakes are inevitable and often highly visible. Each decision requires synthesis of knowledge, experience, and intuition. Creativity flourishes in this environment. By operating without precedent, the individual experiments, iterates, and ultimately defines new models. Leadership and innovation often originate in these unstructured spaces. Mentorship, if available, can offer guidance but rarely replicates the lived experience. Ultimately, operating independently fosters unique perspective and autonomy. The reward is extraordinary. Self-designed frameworks, original solutions, and the capacity to lead in spaces no one has navigated before. Skill alone is insufficient for sustained growth. True mastery requires governing oneself, managing emotions, actions, and decisions without external enforcement. This self-governance differentiates expertise from capability. It is both emotional and practical. Decisions must reflect alignment with long-term goals, ethics, and principles, even when convenient shortcuts are available. Emotional intelligence allows balance between assertiveness, empathy, and vision. Self-governance ensures consistency in action. The advanced individual can navigate complexity without external oversight, maintaining focus and strategic direction. Examples are everywhere. Elite athletes, researchers, and leaders all demonstrate self-regulation as the foundation of their excellence. Discipline, reflection, and accountability are inseparable from their achievement. Ultimately, mastery is a combination of skill, insight, and internal control. Self-governance is the glue that binds potential into consistent impact. Mentorship is invaluable in early growth, providing guidance, wisdom, and perspective. However, accelerated advancement often leads to surpassing those who once guided us. This is not rejection, it is evolution. The challenge is to honor the lessons received while embracing independence. Emotional maturity is required to maintain gratitude without dependence, applying insights in novel contexts rather than copying methods. This stage can feel isolating. Support structures may feel less relevant, and advice may not fit new challenges. The individual must integrate guidance selectively, adapting it to their unique trajectory. Ethically, the advanced learner maintains respect for mentors while charting their own path. This balance prevents arrogance and preserves humility. Ultimately, outgrowing mentors demonstrates growth, but honoring their lessons ensures that wisdom, not ego, drives further achievement. Early development relies on evaluation, tests, feedback, metrics. Exceptional progression transforms this dynamic. Others no longer evaluate. They observe, learn, and follow. Observation carries weight. The individual becomes a reference point, a model of performance, resilience, or innovation. Emotional responsibility increases as actions now influence perception and behavior in broader contexts. This shift requires awareness and intentionality. Decisions must reflect understanding that visibility is now part of influence. The individual balances authenticity with strategic presentation. Observation also offers freedom. Without constant evaluation, creativity and experimentation expand, supported by self-trust rather than external judgment. Ultimately, being observed rather than evaluated is a sign of leadership, impact, and influence. Transformation is disorienting. Rapid growth can feel like a storm of new capabilities, responsibilities, and challenges. Stability is the ability to manage these forces without losing direction. Control is both internal and external. Emotionally, it requires balance, composure, and reflection. Practically, it means systems, routines, and structures are implemented to maintain focus and productivity.